everyone. I welcome you to FIDE virtual class once again. I remain your humble tutor, Ale Monday. But before we start, I would like to brainstorm everyone on our previous topics like Nigeria location, Nigeria position, Nigeria political size, then apart from that, the major mineral resources that we have. The other time we talked about major mineral resources that we have in Nigeria, especially what the crude oil, the limestone that also serve as source of raw materials for manufacturing of cement. That is what we use in production of cement industries. Then apart from that, we also talk about the major location, that is the areas where you can find all those resources or mineral in large quantity. We also talked about their methods of mining. Then, apart from that, the benefit of all these resources to economic development of Nigeria as a country. And today, we want to look at another topic, that is transport and industry. Transport and industry, but because of our times, we are only going to talk about transport in Nigeria. That is, there's one thing I want you to know, that apart from the all mineral resources, most especially crude oil that we have, we can also generate more money from transport. That is, we are talking about transport. I mean, a means of transporting people from one place to another, a way of conveying goods from one place to another. That is what I'm trying to explain. Then apart from that, if you look at it, apart from the definition, we are still going to look at different types, these different means of transport that we have. Are these those people that cannot even travel through, by flight? There are some people through the roads, there are some people through the water. So we are going to look at them one after the other. But not only that, we are going to relate this to the world, the stories of all mode of transport that we have in Nigeria. And if you look at it here also, we have transport and industry. We have transport and industry. And like what I said the other time, that we are only going to talk about transport. We're going to talk about transport. The next week we continue with industry. And we look at it today, we have transportation. We are going to start from the meaning of transportation. We are going to start from the meaning of transportation. And if you look at this, my slide, transportation or transport is the movement of humans, animals, and goods from one location to another. The information I'm trying to pass across to you here is this. That is, we are talking about transportation. We are talking about transport. We are talking about movement. But the movement of humans, the movement of animals, the movement of goods from one location to another. That means what we as human, we all know that we are also what resources, but we are human resources. That means what we must also move. We must move from one place to another. Then apart from that, all these raw materials cannot just be moving ordinarily, but there must be means, there must be mode of conveying all these raw materials. There must be mode of conveying all these goods from one to another. And therefore, transportation is the movement of humans, animals, and goods from one location to another. Then apart from that, mode of transport or types of transportation refers to a combination of networks, infrastructures, vehicles, and operations. Apart from that, this include walking. That is, it's not must for you to move from one place to another with your car. It's not must for you to move from one place to another with car. That means when you are walking, moving from one place to another, is also transportation. That means you are moving. And apart from that, we have the road transport system. we have rail transport system, we have ship transport, and we have modern aviation. That is, different mode of transportation have emerged over time. Basically, the major mode of transportation are listed below. That is, we have road transport, we have railway transport, we have water transport, we have air transport, we have pipeline transport, we have rudimentary forms. All these ones, they are all various mode of transport. There are various ways of moving from one place to another. There are various ways of conveying goods or product from one place to another. We are going to look at all these mode of transport one after the other. That is road transport, railway transport, water transport, air transport, pipeline transport, rudimentary forms of transport. And we are going to start from road transport. If you are talking about the road transport, this is the most common form of transportation in most parts of the world. It gave rise to the emergence of motorcycles, cars, lorries, buses, bicycles, and trucks. There are various types of road according to size and function. Some are tarred, while others are not. And apart from that, like what I said the other time, that if you are talking about roads, road can be classified into three. We have trunk A road, we have trunk B road, and we have trunk C road. If you are talking about trunk A road, they are all the roads that are constructed and maintained by federal government. Why trunk B means all those roads that were constructed by by the state government and maintained by state government. But we are talking about trunk C. Trunk C road, they are all the roads that are constructed and maintained by local government authority. And likewise, if you look at the road also here, it lets you know that we have different types of roads. We have some of the roads that are tarred, while others are not. That means it's not all the roads that are linked to a particular area. It's not all the roads that people have been referring or calling roads that are tarred. Some are tarred, while others are not. And if you look at it in history of Nigeria, if you look at length, Nigeria has about 195-kilometer road network, but or out of which a proportion of about 32,000 kilometers are federal roads, while 31 kilometers are state roads. Out of these, only about 60 kilometers are paved. Then apart from that, if you look at this road transport properly, if you look at the road transport properly, we have many advantages. That is, we are talking about the roads and transport. There are many advantages of road transport. One, it is easy. And if you don't want to use the word easy, you can use the word flexibility. That means among all the mode of transport, among all the types of transport, if you look at them one after the other, the most flexible one among them is road transport. That means what? That's why I use the word flexibility. Flexibility means something that is easy. At this word, most of the people they can access road transport. Whether you are rich or poor, you can make use of road transport compared to air transport. And the second one, we have ease of operation. That means what? If you are talking about the road transport, one advantage is that it is ease of what? Of operation compared to any other one. Ease in operation compared to any other one. Speed advantage. Mind you, if you are talking about speed advantage, I'm not talking about air transport. I'm talking about rail transport and I'm talking about water transport. If you look at it properly, we are talking about speed advantage. That means what? Road transport. Here, we are talking about speed. That is, this one is faster than railway. This one is faster than water transport. Mind you, railway is slow. And if you look at the water transport is most lowest what means of transport, but cheapest means also. Why? Because you can use that one to convey goods from one place to another, bulky goods. But in case we are talking about road transport, in case of what? Of speed advantage. That means what? Road transport is faster than railway and water. And apart from that, it is easily distributed by physical feature surface. That means what? Any area where you want to construct roads, if you come across barriers or obstructions, what will you do? You have to make sure what you remove the barriers. That is why this one is easily distributed by physical features surface. And if you are talking about physical feature surface, what are we talking about? We're talking about rivers, we're talking about lakes, we're talking about mountains. That is anything that can serve as hindrances. We're talking about forest. You want to construct road and there's forest there, you clear in order for you to be able to do whatever I want to do, for you to be able to link more area. And if it is also more mountains or any other barrier like lakes, you avoid barrier. There's a way you construct your road, and that is why if you look at it, the last point said it is easily distributed by physical feature surface. And look at this map of Nigeria, and this is what Nigeria roads and railways. But this one, the first map, this one is railways. And mind you, we are talking about railways, it's another means of transporting goods from one place to another. But if you look at it, this one is not common in all places. We have some certain terminal. We have some areas where you can come across railway. And look at here, Lagos. And look at it here, we have what? Abuja. And mind you, before you get to Abuja, there are some certain terminal that you come across also there in Oyo State. And likewise, what in Kwara State. And when you are going to Niger, you know that in Kwara State, around post office, we have one terminal. And apart from that, Jeba also we have a rail terminal. That means all this one, they are railway tracks that link people from one place to another. Then look at it here, we have Nguru, we have Meduguri here, and we have Kara and around what Kaduna here, and we have Abuja. Look at those here, we have Warri, we have what Port Harcourt. If you look at it, that is why this is one of the most important means of transport. Why? Because what? You can only make use of this in environment where we have heavy or bulky raw materials. It's the easiest means of conveying all these raw materials from one place to another. Apart from that, you can see what we have here. This is what network of Nigeria roads. That is all the roads that we have, both trunk A, trunk B, and trunk C, all the major road network. You can see that what all major places, they are all linked. But mind you, if you look at this one properly, we have some that are tied and we have some that are not tied. And that is what information I'm trying to pass across to you here. There is no place, major places in Nigeria, they are all linked. If we are talking about roads, they are all linked. And likewise, we have some international airport also that can also serve as a linkage here. But what we are saying here is that is we have different means of conveying people from one place to another. And now we are now trying to show some map in order to illustrate or to pass more messages, information to you as a learners. That is whether the road are tar or not. If you look at it, they can still serve as a means of linking or of connecting two or more places together. Then apart from that, if you look at it properly, here we have railway transport. We have railway transport, and we are talking about railway transport. There's no way we'll be talking about railway transport without considering the history. And we look at it like what I said the other time, that railway were developed during the periods of industrial revolution in the 19th century. This was partly for political reasons and for economic reasons. If you look at it here, we have many reasons for construction of railway. But the major reason then in 19th century, if you look at what the major reason that we have here, that's why I said this was partly for political reasons and for economic reasons. But apart from that, in many countries, they were built especially to penetrate isolated regions, that is, area that are associated, area that are not linked. In developed environments, they make sure what they link railway to all those environments. And not only that, now if you look at the railway help in promoting what political unity among the people. Why? Because major areas that are not connected, you see them what middle world, they started what they are all connected, they were all linked together, there will be political unity among them. Apart from that, if you look at this note, the Nigerian railway system is managed by the NRC. NRC. N stand for Nigerian, R stand for railway, C stand for corporation. That means Nigerian Railway Corporation. And apart from that, is made up of two single track. That is, we have narrow, which is about what 106 centimeter gauge lines, all adding up to over 35,000 kilometers in length. The two lines are, we have Western Line, and look at that map. Well, I'm still going to show that map. Look at that map, the previous map. Western Line running from Lagos via Kaduna. Let's go back there. Let's look at that map. Let's look. Can you see now? Lagos to where? To Kaduna. Can you see that most of this area were all linked? This is what refers as railway track. Railway track. Then apart from that, let's look at what the other area as is. Look at this railway. This we have 106 centimeters gauge line, all adding up to over 35,000 kilometers in length. But if you look at it, I said we have two lines. One, Western lines. If you look at that map properly, Western line running from, you can see that on that your map, running from Lagos to Kaduna, then Zaria and Kano. Sorry, that's Kano. I'm coming, let me correct that. And Kano. If you look at it now, this one passed through Kaduna, Zaria, and Kano to Unguru, Kano to Unguru, and that's it, to Unguru, and an eastern line from Port Harcourt through Enugu, Kaduna, and Zaria to Kara, Namoda. This later line has a branch from Kuru to Maiduguri. The major advantage of railway transport includes provision of reliable services. It has ability of conveying heavy and bulky goods. It is also very cheap, safe, and comfortable for passengers over a long distance. That means if you look at this one, it is also cheap. If I want to travel to Niger now or Jeba now, if I want to travel, I'll be having something like 6,000 naira. But now through railway, if I have something like 2,000 naira, at least that one is okay. That means it's very cheap. And not only that, now this one is also safe. The accident is not common compared to any other means of transport, especially what the road transport. It has ability of conveying heavy, that is heavy goods, bulky goods like cement or any other bulky raw materials. It is also very cheap, safe, and comfortable for passengers over a long distance. That means what is very safe for the passengers over a long period of time. And if you look at it here, also, we are still under rail lines. Rail lines are expensive to construct. That is what under the advantage. This one can be classified as advantage. Railway lines are expensive to construct, but once constructed, their maintenance is fairly easy compared to any other one. In the next 10 years, you might not even need any maintenance or whatever now, or any reconstruction. You just be doing some certain minor work compared to any other means of transport. This makes railway transport cheap on the long run. It is suitable where there's a regular flow of bulk traffic between two points. That is, in environment where there's always traffic, where there's always congestion, the best means of transport is rail. Look at all developed countries. Look at them now. They modified their own railway network, their own means of transport. And if you look at it now, their own means of railway tracks now is even faster than what we are using in Nigeria. Then not only that, the major advantages of railway is the fact that it is inflexible. This one is not, it was not linked to everywhere. Like my own house now, if I have money, then I can take bike 15 hours to the junction. Then from junction again, 15 hours back to my to the school. It's flexible. But not this one, I can't make use of this one if you are talking about railway. Railway can link to my house. They have their own terminal and does not link all the places. Railway connects some definite location only. It cannot be easily extend to other places. That means it cannot be easily extend to other places. That means that's why I say they have their terminals. And not only that, they can't what be linking the railway track from from somebody else to another person what house. No, they have their normal terminal. That means what is not flexible compared to any other means of transportation. Then the next thing that we have here is this. Let's look at other means of transport. Let's look at other means of transport that we have here. This is water transport. We have water transport. If I may ask you a question, do you have on water transport? Do you have any idea on water transport? If you look at it, apart from other mode or means of transport that we have explained, water transport is another means of moving goods, is another means of conveying goods, is another means of moving from one place to another. And that is why we tell this my slide. Water transport is very important because it is the cheapest way of transporting bulky goods over a long distance. I've explained this. If you can remember, railway is also cheap. But look at the statement I used here. Cheapest, not ordinary cheap. Cheapest way of transporting bulky goods over a long distance. Then in the world, there are two major types of water transport, namely that is, we have inland water transport. And we are talking about inland water transport. We are talking about navigable rivers. Navigable rivers. We are talking about lakes. And this one can be either artificial or man-made. And that's why I use the word lakes and man-made canals. That is, all this one can also serve as a means of transport. And but mind you here, the means of transport can be water transportation can be classified into two. Ocean water transport and we have inland water. And look at the ocean route run along the coast, connect ports like Badagry. Okay, sorry, I'm coming. This Lagos Badagry, then Lagos. At this, if you look at most of these areas, they are all linked with water transport. They are all linked with water transport. That is Port Harcourt and Calabar, and this also Lagos. We have Lagos here. Lagos here is also linked with what with water. Why? Because Lagos is also a coastal area. That is Badagry, Lagos, Sapele, Burutu, Port Harcourt, and Calabar. And not only that, we have international ocean route link the major seaport. The one we have in Lagos, the one we have in Port Harcourt, the one we have in Calabar. But if you look at it also, then we have some of the local environment. This was some of the rivers, the inland river, the small river, where you cannot find worship, but you can find something like canoes there. That is, they can also convey people from one place to another with canoes, and that's what refers as water transport. Then apart from that, we are talking about the water transport. There's no way how you not even want to make mention of some of the areas. The reason why some people prefer water transport to any other one. And if you look at it here, water transport is the cheapest means of transport. That's one of the reasons. When is the cheapest? But for conveying bulky goods or heavy goods. Modern ships are very large and able to carry a large amount of cargo, which reduces the cost of transportation. Water transport is generally slow. In this respect, it cannot be compared favorably with road, air, or rail transport because of its slowness. Water transport is not suitable for moving passengers or perishable goods unless the ships are refrigerated. And that means what when we're talking about perishable, they are all those goods that can go spoil within a short period of time. They can't stay for a long period of time. That's why if you look at it here, except or unless if the ships are refrigerated. But if the ships are not refrigerated, there's no way how you can make use of that ship. Why? Because all these perishable goods we got was spoiled within a short period of time. The another thing that we have here is air transport. We have air transport, and if you look at it, air transport is the newest means of transport. It was introduced in 1903. It was introduced in 1903. And if you look at it here, that means what this one is also what old. It was also old because it was introduced in 1903. But if you look at it now, it was developed into full means of transporting people and goods in 1930s. That is, the greatest of the air transportation started after the Second World War. This mode of transportation can be used for both domestic and international flight. That is why we have local airport and we have international airport. And likewise, if you look at it properly, we have domestic, which also means local flight, and we also have international flight. That means we have so just like interstate. When say domestic, when say domestic, when say domestic transportation is it means you are talking about the local, and this is an environment where this transportation can also when you say what the local environment in nature, and this it means the environment where the local environment can I mean where all this what local international airport I mean where local airport can be found. But when you say international, the international means what when you are trying what to move or when you are traveling to other part of the country is not within the state. Today, and if you look at it, there are over 19 airports in Nigeria, five of which Muritala Mohammed Airport in Lagos, Aminu Kano Airport in Kano, Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport in Abuja, as well as Port Harcourt and Calabar Airport hover international services. It is estimated that over 4 million Nigerians fly and use this airport each year. Two services are currently operated in Nigeria, namely domestic or local services and international services. Like what I said the other time, that we have the local one or referred to what as domestic. Then we have the international services, and also those are the major categories of the airport that we have, and likewise the categories of the flight we have. We have some that are traveling to other states, and we have some that are traveling outside the country, that is the other part of country. That is why we have local and we have the international side. That is, we have some people that are rendering services at local level, and we have some other people that are also rendering services at international level. Then, apart from that, we are talking about advantages. We're talking about the advantages of the air transport. One, we have speed. That means the air transport, if you look at it, is the world's the most fastest. In speed is the speed is very high. Freedom from hindrance. That means what there's nothing like barrier, no hindrances, no obstruction apart from weather problems. And they must measure what they look at, put that one into consideration before what moving. That means what we are talking about mountains, rivers, lakes. All the ones cannot serve as hindrances. This one cannot serve as barriers or problems to them. Their comfort. I mean, so this one is what you feel comfortable there compared to what to any other one. Air transport is expensive. That is, now look at other aspect. Air transport is expensive. Only a small proportion of the population can avoid it, especially in developing countries. In addition, airports are located in some major centers only, therefore, its services are not rapidly available to a large number of places. And the information I'm trying to pass across to you is this. At least if you look at it properly, is very fast. And not only that, freedom from hindrances and what you also feel comfortable. But there's also what side effect. That means what it is not for everybody. It's for what from some set of people because it is very expensive. Then there's no way I will not also talk about problems of the of the air transport problems. And one of the problems is what lack of capital to construct and equip airports. You can see what that most of the world of the airports because it was because of lack of capital to construct and equip airport, they are becoming outdated and airport. Not only that, we have inadequate indigenous skilled manpower. Most of the world, the people working there, they don't have indigenous skill manpower. If there's any issue or any problem outside, you have to make sure what we get experts from outside, not within the state. Inadequate spare part is another problem. Poor management, then weather hazard is also another problems there. And we have rudimentary forms. Some of you have been looking at what is the meaning of rudimentary. These are simple form of transportation that have been in use since early times. That means before we can be talking about, we start talking about air transport, the railway. We have several means. We have different means of what of transporting people or moving from one place to another. And that is why there's no way how we are not going to talk about this. It must for us to consider different means of transporting people or moving from one place to another. And if you look at it, despite what this word rudimentary that we are talking about properly here, we are talking about donkeys. At least we use donkeys, we use oxen, we have oxes, and we have river transport. And at times here, if you look at it, it can be classified as local means of transporting or moving people from one place to another. That's what as means of transporting people in local environment. And not only that, that means if you look at it properly, we are still talking about some set of people. Some set of people that means it's not even what for everybody. Then apart from that, we have pipeline transport. Pipeline transport, that is, pipeline transport is another means of transporting products. But we are talking about the pipeline transport, we are talking about a means of transporting liquid products like petroleum, like water, from one place to another. And if you look at it, pipeline transport, this is system of transportation involves the use of hollow, that is pipes in the transportation of water, crude oil, petroleum and gas. This mode of transportation is safer than using tankers or trailers in the transportation of these liquid. Then we have advantages. What are the advantages of this pipeline? One, pipeline can easily be laid through difficult terrains. Once laid, pipelines do not usually require maintenance. Pipeline transportation help to eliminate number of vehicles on the roads, and this reduces traffic congestion and accidents on our roads. Then apart from that, we have some disadvantages. There's some disadvantages. One, it can be easily destroyed by mischievous elements during war or civil disorder. It may also be easy to steal from the materials being transported. by simply tapping from the pipeline at some root um, places. Then, apart from that, pipelines are not suitable for transporting most goods as well as um, human beings. Sorry for that. Let me call it for human beings. For human beings, that means when we look at it here, it's not the best method of transporting all things. It's not all things that can be transported or moved for with this mode of transportation. That means only liquid. But you as human being, if you want to stay inside pipe and you want yourself to be transported from one place to another, that means you might not be able to survive it. Then apart from that, here, if you look at it, apart from some disadvantages that I have mentioned here, apart from some disadvantages of this, then we have others. That means others means of transportation. And if you look at it here, we have space flight. That means it's a means of transport that moves out of Earth atmosphere. That's all. Then we have cable transport. Cable transport is a broad class of transport modes that have cables as the foundation for transporting goods or people. And this one can be found in Obudu cattle ranch also here in Nigeria. And apart from that, we have transports. At this, we have transportations and economic development. That is, if you look at it now, transportation has contributed what largely to the development of our country. And that is why I say transportation plays a very important role in the development of a nation. The process of development creates the need for goods and people to be moved for one reason or the other, from one place to another. Transportation in the national economy is like blood in the human body. Just as blood moves nutrients from one part of the body to other in order to keep the body healthy and functioning, so also does transportation move labor, equipment, raw materials, and finished goods from one part of the economy or country to another in order to maintain an economic balance through even distribution. Then apart from that, if you look at it, the more country developed a country is, the more developed a transport system it will be. And in tropical Africa, for example, railway and other form of mode of transportation have greatly stimulated economic development. That means if you look at it, that's why I use the word blood. That is, I don't think anybody that doesn't have blood can survive. I don't think anybody that doesn't have blood can be able to move from one place to another. That is it. That is, mode of transportation is just like a blood that enable us to be able to carry out some certain activities. Then look at the next one we have here, transportation and movement. That means transportation has help in moving from one place to another. And that is why in any society, people are bound to move from one place to another for one reason or the other. Some of the movement is for pleasures, other for business, while other purposes fall in between. That is, where the transportation system is well developed and the purchasing power is high, people tend to move much, like what to move toward that environment. Then not only that, we have transportation and trade. That is, transportation play an important role for both national and international trade. The items of trade need to be transported or moved from the area where they are produced to the area where they are demanded. That's it. You can see there. That means transportation is very important. We have transport and national integration. That is, transport facilities help to unite a country by linking the various parts together. It makes it easier to administer a country. That's another aspect. Then we now say in Nigeria, that is transport and Nigeria development. One, it leads to increased agricultural, minerals, and industrial production. It aids movement of people, labor, and capital. It links area of production with areas of consumption. It leads to diversion of ideas and innovation. It gives rise to employment opportunities. It generates revenue. It facilitates the development of tourism. Then, apart from that, we have problems of transportation in Nigeria, disjointed nature of routes, river fluctuation, that is, changes in the volume of river. We have management and maintenance problem. We have occurrence of accident. We have rapid and waterfall. Then we have problems of poor alignment. All this one, they are all major problems of transportation. Please, I'm expecting you to read all your notes. Try as much as possible to read all your notes and make sure you take note of important point or key points because of your objective questions so that you won't mess up. That's why any key point, make sure you underline or you take note of that with pencil. And mind you, those of you that miss maybe your assignment, if you have not done your assignment, try as much as possible to do your assignment, because I don't know, maybe you are being told you are going to write test. You are going to write test, and your test will be CBT. And I don't expect any one of you to score below 40. This is where we are going to stop for today. May God protect us and see us through till next week. That will be meeting on Tuesday. My regards to everybody, especially your parents. Please try as much as possible to take good care of yourself and make sure you maintain social distances and make sure you do the right thing at the right time. May God bless you all. Bye bye, everybody.